Hello everyone, the Honest Collector, here to give you the truth on the Jakks Pacific Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Shadow the Hedgehog figure. And first off, I'm not dead. And I didn't retire early because this channel really never lifted. But I didn't quit. I'm here. Just had to stop buying for a while. I stopped collecting for a bit so I could focus on some other stuff. And then, yeah, if you hear rain or heavy, tapping like that or something, that's because we're getting hit with the hurricane right now. Florida, it's pretty crazy. So, that's just running its course. Hope that everyone is safe who is getting hit with it worse. I hope everyone's, protected, okay. And my prayers go out to everyone who is struggling in a more unfortunate situation. Anyway. Now to talk about this toy. This shadow figure, man, I don't really know how to jump between subjects like that. So the thing about this figure is that this is what brought me out of the hiatus. I was on a spree of just chilling out and just not buying, and I saw this, and if I can get him quick enough, and this guy at Target, and I was like, you know what, I haven't bought them in a while. And I picked these two up, and I was like, you know what, yeah, we'll just do that, and that'll be it just for a little bit. So I'm going over this figure first because I want to specifically explain why this figure looks so good to me and why this one doesn't. This is a really good shadow figure from the Sonic Prime Netflix TV series, but there's just something that's so different about these two, and even their stances, and both by the same company, they're even the same height, they're in the same scale. I think Shadow from the movie might be a little taller. Yeah, but it's just, there's something so different about these two, and I want to go into that, and it's so interesting to me. So we're going to go right into it, but actually reviewing this figure first and then really just noticing the details about this one later. So let's go right into that. And no, this guy doesn't have any accessories. That's because this figure is coming in at a $15 price point. Let's see if I can brighten this light, or at least put it here. So this guy's coming in at $15, not bad at all for now in the prices. Marvel Legends be $25, and you get two pairs, or not even one pair of hands, extra hands. So you don't get any accessories here, but this is $15, and you do get all this insane detail and articulation. So let's go into the detail first with these eyes. As you can see, this is on a lot of shadow figures. The eyes are for some reason not painted all the way up, or there's this white slot that just goes like that and cuts it off. So if he looks like that, you can see that huge gap, which, not gonna lie, looks really weird. I don't like that, and it's something you can see from a bit far, but it's not horrible. And this thing, all the other stuff still makes up for it 100%, and it's not too big of a deal for me. People were complaining that this was annoying to them because that little part wasn't painted fully, and I believe that's on the Sonic figure as well. And that's actually because it's supposed to represent the conjointed eyes that they have in the cartoons and video games, but they didn't want to fully do that. They still have two just giant eyes like that. So that's why they did that, which I think is okay, and I actually like it. Again, it looks good. It makes this figure look really good, and I don't mind it at all. And then you have this really nice fur texturing across the entire figure, all over the legs and the arms and everything like that. The head just looks amazing. You got this really nice red paint, but it's more like a blood red, where this one is more like a mud orangey red. And I think that's also why I think this shadow is just that much cooler, because this red just pops so much more. It looks so clean and fresh, where this one, don't get me wrong, I like Shadow's design. I'm not saying the design of Shadow is worse than the movie design. It's just the way they handled this specific figure. It doesn't give off that same cool, appealing look that this Shadow does right here. And I think you guys can understand what I'm talking about when they look in the same direction. So this Shadow looks really great. He's got all this texture detail on the shoes while still keeping that classic look. And then on the back and everything, all these his jet boosters and stuff like that, look at that. That is insane that they sculpted it and everything there. You got the serial number on the back of the leg there, which is apparently noticeable. And surprisingly, these ball joints don't really pop out too much. Like, it's not, like, to me, this figure doesn't look ugly because of these things, which I think is a very impressive feat to pull off. And he's got some butterfly joints and everything, and it does not ruin the look of the figure. If anything, it just makes him have more of a broad chest. Like, you can really puff his arms out or puff them in like this, and it just looks so good. I prefer out because it just looks better with the head. Everything just looks really good when you just put it right, and it's very easy for this figure to look menacing or just, you know, look really cool. And that's exactly what Sonic should be. Sonic primarily is cool, and that's exactly what Shadow is as well, and he should not be anything less. And I think this figure encapsulates that perfectly, especially in the head sculpt and just the way it is overall. We might lose power mid-filming. But yeah, so now I think to get into the articulation, which also really quickly, you could see he has fur texturing here, but it's just not as much. And even with the Sonic figure, I'll get that out. So I'm using the Grim Sonic. It's the closest thing to the classic one in this wave. They really missed an opportunity to just give us a bunch of 5-inch classic figures. Honestly, I want to see them redo these designs like in a video game design, like a classic modern Sonic, but with this type of articulation setup. Deadass, if you make it $20, I'll still buy it. So anyway, so you see like even here, like the fur texturing is very subtle. It's not much, and I know in the show it was a little more than what we're getting here, and here it's just all over, so it just looks a little weird on the figure and it doesn't look as good. And I think also the thing is that these joints, the way they kind of curve in, if you want them to have them down, you kind of have to curve them in, or else they're just permanently going to be out like that. And there's much more limited articulation because they're not on these hinges here, and they're not on these ball joints here, where Sonic, let's say Sonic Prime here, that hand can only hinge that way, because if you see, there's a hinge in there, and that's what makes it move forward and back like that. So you can't do side to side at all, and it doesn't really work. So you can't have him look as cool or even pose as much. That limits articulation by a lot. Not to mention they don't have a diaphragm joint, and these joints are really weak, and this head is extremely heavy. So when you have all these things together, it's very difficult to properly stand them up, especially when the hinge on this thing is very loose. So he's permanently gonna be looking up. If he's looking to the side, it just looks really goofy. And that's especially the case with Shadow too, because you gotta stand him upright, but then his limbs and everything don't articulate the best, and it's very odd. I was gonna do a stop motion like death battle type thing with these two, because I really like the look of these two because it was all we had. But now I'm literally going to refilm everything with these figures because they just look that much better, and they offer so much more posability and life. That's the thing. These figures put so much more life into, well, I guess the figures. It's just the way it looks, the articulation that they decided to go for. It just brings so much more life to these things rather than these two. Also, the expression. It's just, this one, he looks pissed off, and you can even argue sometimes you can make him smirk a little bit. This one just looks confused as hell. Like, he just does, like, he's looking and he has no idea what's going on. He's just kind of like, what just happened? And his mouth here doesn't really curve enough to have him be angry, and neither do the eyes. They're not far down enough. If you were to get him to look down, he still doesn't look angry. Where if you were to get this guy to look up, he looks angry. If he looks down, he's gonna kill you. Like, this is just Keanu Reeves' Shadow. So that's the huge difference between these two. I also think color is a very important thing. The black on this Shadow, I actually don't mind. I really like it, and I don't mind the black that's on the movie Shadow. It really is just the way that all of it comes together, because the red doesn't look as good, which makes the black not look as good, because the black on here is a lot more just darker and more solid. And then the red, like I said, is more of a blood red, not like a mud brown or anything like that. So that's why I think this Shadow looks so cool. Now let's really go through the articulation. So the head can look this high up, which is great. Looks that far down, which is also really good. And then side to side. This is some of the most impressive articulation we've seen from a Jakks figure. And I want to say this is as good as it's going to get, but Jakks continues to surprise me. So, yeah, the torso, there's not really anything in that torso for crunching, which actually doesn't really affect the figure. But going side to side, not much for Shadow. There's more for like Sonic, but not much for him right here. Then the arms, let's get that head out of the way. They move all the way around like that. They move this high up. They have this little joint in there. They have butterfly joints that go like that, so you can really move everything around. They got the single jointed elbows, but they move past 90 degrees, which is great. They have the wrist swivel, and then they have the hinge, where it can go back and can go forward, which is really good. And then they have finger articulation, which you're able to do that. So I think that's really cool. Some people says it looks really ugly. I don't mind it. I think it looks awesome. I think it looks fine, and it's executed awesome. So then to the legs, you can kick this far forward. My Shadow was hella stiff out of the box, so definitely put him in some hot water. So he kicks that high up, and he kicks that far back, kind of going out a little more. Sonic's able to do it a lot more clean. He has an upper thigh cut right there, and then he has a single jointed ball joint knee, which can go way past 90. And yeah, he has no ankle swivel, which does kind of annoy me, but he has decent ankle pivot right there. It goes this far down and moves that far up, which isn't bad. I'm very happy it's there, and it works pretty well. And how far can this guy kick out? He can't kick out fully, but the splits are okay. They're definitely decent. They're not bad. And with all the other articulation bunched into this figure, it's very, very enjoyable. Now you can see that this figure stands right around the 5-inch mark, not counting that quill. It's like a little over 5 inches. Here he stands next to the Sonic Hedgehog 3, Sonic and Tails. Here's how he stands next to the Sonic Prime, Sonic Grim, and here he stands next to the Sonic Prime Shadow. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be the same size. My Sonic Prime figure, the New York City, this one, the ankles got all messed up. But if yours is somehow good, it's basically the same height. This thing sucks. Here he stands next to the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Wave 2. It's basically inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Super Sonic, which, oh my gosh, we need a Super Shadow. I'm definitely going to do a video on the Super Shadow. The movie hasn't come out yet. I just know he's going to be in it. So I'll definitely do a video on that. And I think that's when I'll wrap up the Versus series that I have going on, when I get the Super Shadow, when they make the Super Shadow for this figure. Because I know, mark my words, I know they're going to. And here he stands next to the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Jakks Pacific, Sonic, and Knuckles, the 4-inch figures, which, my gosh, the difference in these look insane. I would love to see a 4-inch Shadow done like this, just so that I can do this same thing, the same look too. But yeah, so honestly, this thing is so damn good. So what are my final thoughts on this guy? If you are able to find him, I definitely would. Track this guy down. If you're a fan of if you're a fan of Sonic, not even the movie, but if you are a fan of the movies as well, go get this guy. You gotta go fast, because these things are selling out like crazy. Aftermarket prices are gonna be a pain in the ass. Definitely go and get this guy. It's so much fun. I haven't been able to put it down, and I got this thing months ago. By the way, at this current time of the recording, the hurricane has been well over. But yeah, so get this guy. It's awesome. No accessories. Don't even need them to have someone to have fun with this guy. It is insane. This guy is amazing. Okay. Rating is going to be a little difficult. I want to give it a 9 out of 10 because of the price point and how much this figure delivers and how generous they are in giving us articulation, sculpt, paint, all that stuff. I'm definitely giving this thing a 9. Yeah, I think I would have went well over the board and said it's a 10 out of 10 if they gave us accessories. Not 9, whatever out of 10. So go get this guy. that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please subscribe and turn on notifications. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Comment what you thought, if you have this figure or not. And yeah, that'll be it. Spread peace, love, and be greater together. And I'll catch you on the next one to give you the truth on the next figure. Bye.